Alrighty. How you doing, folks? Ron Raymond here from the Raymond Report, along with Ross Benjamin from Ross Benjamin Sports for Friday, August 21st. What, Ross, can you think of a better way to start the weekend?
I don't know where you're going with this, but it's always a good way to start the weekend.
Yeah, it's a Friday. We're not that I love doing these shows. Not that I want this to end, but
I was waiting for a punchline, Ron.
Yeah. No, the punchline is I'm getting my arm ready because Cincinnati Reds called me, and I'm getting ready for the ninth.
Don't get me going on that topic. We both got burned on that yesterday.
Oh God, you know what? It's live by the sword, die by the sword type thing, right?
Yeah.
Hey. It's one of those days. The NBA we'll talk about in a bit. The favorites are just killing it right now. And the favorites are just baseball, NBA. You got Birds going. I got Dobbs going.
And all of a sudden they're starting to play defense in the NBA. Must be the playoffs,
Yeah. So not a great day for the Rain Report yesterday for my premium.
Yeah. So if we could, let's just fill the listeners and viewers in on what we're talking about here. Ron had Cincinnati and St. Louis under 8 yesterday. I had Cincinnati minus 139. The Reds get a nice performance once again from Sonny Gray, and it's a 4-2 game. Cincinnati going in the bottom of the ninth, and once again their bullpen. Like I keep telling everybody, we got to handicap bullpens. What does Ross do? He takes one of the worst bullpens in baseball, and guess what? He gets burned because the Cincinnati bullpen allows 3 runs in the bottom of the ninth, and they lose 5-4, and the game goes over. And that's our story for this morning. Now let's get on to more positive things. Yeah.
The good news is, I just saved a bunch of money by switching to Geico. Just had to throw that in.
We got to laugh or else we'll cry. But you know what? We talked about this off air, in our profession, folks, if we let this carry over, in other words, Ron, I hear this adage in sports a lot, but it applies to sports betting too. Don't let one losing day turn into 2.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because I equate it to a doctor again. If he has a patient die and then he goes on to the next patient, if he gets emotional about that happening, it's going to cloud his judgment and focus on the next patient. It's the same thing with, I know it's life and death compared to what we do, but the point being is if you let it carry over to the next day, it's going to affect you.
Oh, yeah. And the way I feel is like I can't wait for the next day to get to work and work harder. 1-1 in baseball, my premium picks. Sweated out that Minnesota under yesterday. Bases loaded. The bullpen, that's what a bullpen looks like. But, Ross, the streaks of the unders in Minnesota, man, I gotta keep riding that. I had the under in the San Diego game, Donaldson Lamet. But again, Texas really.
Well, I mean, he pitched a great game. I mean, he gave you 5 good innings. He struck out 9 in 5 innings. He allowed 2 earned runs. The Padres bullpen, again, they're another enigma.
Yeah, and then I went 0-2 in the NBA. I had Portland, and I had the game before. Forget what the. Let me see here. Bring up my sheets here. What did I have here? Portland, and who was the other game yesterday afternoon?
It was Miami and Indiana.
Crap. It'll come to me. I'll go back. You know what?
I'm on to the next day. It's a case in point. I'm on to the next day. Other than that game sticking out in my mind, the Reds game, because of the way it transpired. Who's the other?
I'm bringing it up now. It's just I can't. Orlando, Milwaukee, Oklahoma City. That's right. Yeah. The Thunder. I had the Thunder in that game, and you know what? Talk about a seesaw battle in that game. Like they must have switched the leads 8 times. But credit Houston. And again, remember I talked about this the other day. Whenever you got I should listen to what I say. But anytime you got the top player on the team on the floor, you got to follow that guy. And Harden didn't have the game like he did in game 1, but OKC didn't have a bad game. He just had a bad last, fourth quarter.
Houston, you got to watch out for Houston. I mean, because we know what Harden can do, and Westbrook coming back. There's some balanced scoring there too. If you look at the scoring yesterday, I think they had 6 guys in double figures, Ron.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. And let's go right into the SBI, Ross.
Yep.
We talked about it off air. The favorites right now yesterday had a big day, 4-0 straight up and against the spread. And the 4 unders came over.
Yep. Yeah.
And looking at the 7-day average, let's go to the ATS column right here. You can see this, right, Ross?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. So yesterday, obviously a bullish day for the favorites, 4-0. On the 3-day average, 50% neutral market. Yeah. Again, the 7-day average, very balanced. 47.4% of the favorites have come in the NBA. So we're in a neutral market. So it's just one of those days yesterday where the favorites and teams like Milwaukee, teams like the Lakers showed why they're number one, right?
Yeah, they woke up, right?
Yeah, they woke up.
I think that they were, it's hard, Ron. They sort of coasted through the first 8 games after the restart. And, they thought they could turn the light switch on in the playoffs. That didn't transpire, and it was a wake-up call for them yesterday. I was going to say, that as far as the SBI goes, pay attention to the last 3 days because that coincides with the playoffs beginning. So you could see the neutral market on favorites and underdogs. And then also, again, we've only had 12 games being played, 58% on the under. I wouldn't get too carried away with that because it's just 7-5 to the under.
Yeah. NHL, let's take a look at this. Now, there's rumblings coming out of the bubbles that, guys are starting to get a little antsy and they, can't wait to get out now. The NHL bubble is not like Orlando. Orlando, you're hearing guys playing golf or going fishing and then you got Toronto downtown, right?
Yeah.
So it could get a little long for those guys in the bubble. And, you saw it in Washington, last night, 4-0. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
And then I got a feeling you're going to start seeing that. And, professional athletes are not going to come out and say it. They're going to, they'll reserve it, but you can tell by their play and their mindset. And, now you're going to me, I think I'm going to be evaluating when I look at games to see what players doing the little things like going in the corners.
Or what teams, you know what I mean? What teams are interested in being there? Like you just alluded to, Washington. From the get-go, I think during the round robin format, they won 0-2 and they won 1 game, and that was in a shootout against Boston, and that was the last game they played.
Yeah. So there's a honeymoon stage.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's so, and then you get a team like the Islanders who look razor sharp as far as their focus goes. That's a hell of a play you made on them to win the Stanley Cup because you never know. This is the type of year in any playoff format, Major League Baseball, the NBA, and NHL. It's unique. It's unique in the aspect that discipline and attitude you have to account for, like you just alluded to, Ron. What teams are interested? What teams are focused? What teams are more consistent? So it's a whole different animal than what we've been used to in the past.
Yeah, and what I normally do, Ross, every year, I always take that one long shot because if they do get in, then there's great hedging opportunities.
What did you get the Islanders at again? 28-1?
Yeah, something like that. I know. I'll bring it up here at Bookmaker.
I wouldn't start hedging until we got to the conference final.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But I know it. Just waiting on the Bookmaker here, but we'll bring up MLB in the meantime.
Yep.
But
it was around 28-1, Ron. There's no need to go. It's pretty good odds.
Yeah. 28 plus 28.25, 2,825, and So I got a good little price on it. The Raptors and the Islanders were my futures ticket, and the thing is, I bought this. I purchased this ticket on what's the date here? October 2nd.
Wow.
So October 2nd. So I was on them early.
Talk about foresight, Yeah. Especially when you put 10 grand on it like you did.
Yeah.
You're looking at a $280,000 payoff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Now the Major League Baseball, looking at here, again, yesterday favorites. Like I looked at this morning, 12-2 the last 2 weeks. And look at this, 12, and then you got 19-3 the last 3 weeks of favorites having great days. Again, 8-5 yesterday, 7-5-1 to the over. You know what? I sometimes you got to adjust on the fly in your handicapping, and I think I'm just going to bite the bullet and start betting favorites. And I don't know about totals yet, but favorites, I don't see why not get off them.
Yeah, the favorites of 106 to 150 that I've been, bringing up quite often recently. They went 2-6 yesterday.
Okay,
so the big favorites are the ones who really cashed at a high rate yesterday.
Yeah, let's keep an eye on that this weekend to see on Monday how it turns out.
Sure.
Because I got a feeling that this is not going to go away. This is a different year, different season. But we're going to kick it off here, Ross, with Washington taking on the Marlins. Nationals a 190 favorite, over under set at 9. Forecast going to lean with Washington in a big way here. 7.57, 2.98. Over under set at 10.55. Now, Washington's last game was 2 days ago against the Atlanta Braves. I think they took 2 or 3 of the Braves, if I recall.
Yep.
And now they got Patrick Corbin. And again, I'm seeing mixed reports on starting pitchers this morning, but I'm just going to go with what I have here. Patrick Corbin and Daniel Castellano.
Yeah, I got right before we went on the air, I believe Hernandez is pitching for Miami, Ron.
Yeah, now I see them at one place, but then I look at other places like the rotor wires and all that. So that's why I'm saying.
Yeah, rotor wires don't. I mean, you got to look at and again, just a suggestion. You got to look at the a major like SBR or something where they have all the odds in the current pitchers as we speak. They seem to be pretty accurate. RotoWire and stuff like that. Those are fantasy sites,
Yeah.
So they're not going to be up to date like the regular. I'm pretty sure it's Hernandez anyway.
Yeah. Washington, the last 7 games have gone over the total. Now the Kogo's at 25% here today. And my line on the game, I had the Marlins at plus 102 and then plus 140 for the Nats. Nats are 9-12 on the year. Miami, a bit of a downfall, loser of 5 straight. The last 3 have gone over, but the last 7 for the Nats have gone over the total. I think the total is where I'm looking at here today if I'm going to touch this game.
Yeah, and the other side of the flip side of that equation is they're 7-0 under the total at home when facing a right-handed starting pitcher, which Hernandez is. They're also 8-2 under the total at home. 2-8 the Nationals are at home this year, Ron, while Miami is 6-4 on the road. This is a game I'm going to stay away from. Miami can't get out of their own way right now. I could see this free fall continuing to happen. 2-8 in their last 10, 0-5 in their last 5, Ron. I've been touching upon this the last couple of days. I would have a hard time back in Miami against anybody right now.
Yeah, and 2-8 to the under also. And when they're facing an opponent that has a 41 to 50% win percentage at home, 1-4. Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Now,
wow, the Blue Jays, Ron.
Oh man, and talk about 2 teams doing well in a short cycle. Tampa Bay sweeping the Rays. This is from emotional psychology.
Sweeping the Yankees, yes.
Yeah, exactly right. Like now they're in a psychological spot here where they're coming off of cloud 9, the series in New York. It wasn't in Tampa; it was in New York.
Yep.
And now they've won 2 series against the Yankees. Maybe it's I think it's 2. Mentally they've got an edge on them. But now the Toronto down 7-0, come back and win that game yesterday 9-7. Lost the first one 3-2. But you know what?
Oh, they won both games.
Oh,
Ron.
did they win? Okay.
They won both games. They've won 5 straight now.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm looking at this wrong. Shoemaker goes today for the Blue Jays, 1-4 when he starts for Toronto the last 5. And you got Ryan Yarbrough going for the Rays. 5 straight wins for the Tampa Bay Rays. They're on a little hot streak right now. And, Toronto going up there with full of confidence. But this is going to be a tough one for the Blue Jays going here against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I mean, Toronto's 12-11 now. You know what I mean? They're creeping up on the Yankees. But, got to keep an eye on those games that are getting played at Salem Field, Ron. It's a hitter's paradise. Anyway, it's not being played at Salem Field today. Again, you bring up a good point, the emotional letdown of not only sweeping the Yankees in 4 straight, but this is also a Rays team that's won 11 of their last 12. So 2 red-hot teams right now. And, it's, again, it's intriguing because Tampa Bay, that's a pretty – if you would have asked me a week ago in this particular matchup what the line would be, I would have said 180 to 190, and right now it's at 140.
Yeah, and this is part of my evaluation when I did the rain report is factoring those cycles of emotions, performance. There's physical and mental. Like when I coach football, I used to tell our players all the time, remember, the game of football is 90% mental, 10% physical.
Yeah.
And it's true. And these guys get into these cycles mentally, and sometimes it's hard to get out of it. Like, look at San Diego right now. They're seeing the baseball like a beach ball right now, and they're hitting everything out of the park. But coming back to this game, this is going to be an interesting matchup for Tampa Bay in that first game against Toronto. But Toronto, they've shown throughout the year they're very inconsistent. They can't put a string of wins together. They'll have a great series, then go in the tank. So
yeah, well, I mean, they've won 5 straight, so we'll see. I mean, talk about hitting the ball out of ballpark. The Blue Jays have quietly hit 41 home runs in 23 games, Ron.
Wow, that's pretty good. Milwaukee taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now the Brew Crew at 142 price. The over-under set at 8.5. ATS forecast. The algorithms likes Milwaukee here 4.86, 4.79. The over-under 9.65. Looking at this game, you got Adrian Hauser going for Milwaukee. They're 3-1 in his last 4, and Chad Kuhl goes for the Bucks. You know what? This Milwaukee. I was watching that game last night against Minnesota, and Ryan Braun was the last at bat, and I was hoping for a ground out because I needed that under. But Milwaukee, Brian Braun, Kristen Ellich. If they go the team goes as long as those two go right now, and I don't think Braun is going that well right now.
Yeah, well, the good thing is they're playing Pittsburgh, who's lost 14 of their last 16 games. Couple interesting notes here, Ron, handicapping notes. Doogie Howser's cousin is at Pittsburgh today. He had 1 start this year against Pittsburgh, 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 1 hit, 3 walks. Great outing. Also, Doogie Howser's cousins 3-0 on the road with a 2.12 ERA, and Chad Kuhl 6-0 in his career against the Milwaukee Brewers with a 1.91 ERA. I might be looking at the total in this game, especially Milwaukee this year, Ron. When there's a total of 8.5 or less, they're 10-2 under the total.
Wow, yeah, 2-5 on the road. Yeah, that's an interesting stat right there. I thought I had something here too. That's the total is something I'm going to be looking at too. Just looking at the only thing that pops up here for Milwaukee. Thinking of a situational role as a road favorite, they're 5-1.
Yeah, well, they're 9-6 on the road, Ron, and they're 1-6 at home.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, it's the Milwaukee 9-6. Wow, and 2-9 Pittsburgh at home this year. But Pittsburgh, they're just trying to find a way to get one win together. They're on a 5-game losing streak right now.
Yep.
Philadelphia taking on the Atlanta Braves. Now we got a pick 'em price here. I believe I'm looking at SBR to see what they have on this game. Yeah, it's about the same thing all over the place. Max Fried going up against Aaron Nola. Good pitching matchup today.
Yep, absolutely.
In Atlanta. And the over-under 8.5. Forecast. Going to lead with the Phillies here. We got swept by the Blue Jays yesterday. 5.11, 4.14. Over-under set at 9.25. The last 2 games for both these teams have gone over the total. Kogo at 42%. Atlanta 14-11 on the year. 10-11 for the Phillies. Not what Girardi really expected.
No. And their bullpen is really letting them down, Ron. And that's what scares me. Even with Aaron Nola on the mound, who's having a terrific start to the season. Matter of fact, his last 3 starts, excellent form. A 0.86 ERA, a 0.53 whip, and 21 innings pitched. So he's averaging 7 innings per start, which he's going to have to do something similar today to protect that porous Phillies bullpen. And Max Fried, his last 3, an 0.52 ERA. So Ron hit it right on the nose as far as a great pitching matchup here. The one thing, again, to keep an eye on with Atlanta, 12-3. Excuse me. That would be 13-3 as a favorite and 1-8 as an underdog this year. I have right now Atlanta at plus 100. I'm not sure what you're looking at, Ron.
Yeah, no, I got that too. So looking at Detroit taking on the Cleveland Indians. You got a dog battle here in the background. Stay focused, Ron. Stay focused. Minus 170 here, price on the Cleveland Indians. And then you got 9.5 is the over-under. ATS forecast, computer pick. Going to go with Detroit. 5.26, 3.14. The over-under at 8.4. Looking at the pitching matchup here, you got Adam Plutko going up against Michael Fulmer today for Detroit. Now looking at the Tigers, man, 9 straight losses for the Tigers. Not even, they got shut out yesterday against Lucas Giolito. I don't know how many innings he went.
Your boy, 7 innings.
There, good for him.
Struck out 10, walked none, I think.
Yeah.
And only allowed 2 hits. Great outing by Giolito.
Right on. And Cleveland, a 6-game win streak. And again, Cleveland, another under right here. 2-0, Shane Bieber, another great outing. And, hey, what can you say about the Cleveland Indians right now?
Yeah, their pitching staff is just incredible. Starters and relievers. Ron, Cleveland 20-0 the last 20 against Detroit.
Yeah, you mentioned that last time too. Yeah. It's talk about a team that owns you. You know what I mean? So let's go to the next one, Ross.
Fulmer 9 career starts against Cleveland, and in those 9 career starts, a 6.87 ERA. So
who's that, Fulmer?
Yeah.
Wow. Boston taking on the Baltimore Orioles. Now, the Bo Sox a minus 108 price. The over-under set at 10. Forecast, going to lean with Boston here, 6.44. Baltimore, 5.15. Over-under, 11.59. That's a huge total right there. But, you got 2 teams who are they can hit, but they just can't play any defense. John Means goes today for Baltimore. Colton Brewer for the Boston Red Sox. Looking at both teams' record, 12-13 for Baltimore, 8-18 for the Bo Sox. But Boston on a 2-game win streak.
Yeah, break them up. Yeah,
and Baltimore's lost 5 straight.
Yeah, Boston hasn't won 3 straight all year, by the way, folks. So whatever that's worth. And also Baltimore, talk about Harry Carey, 8-3 on the road and 4-10 at home this year. Hard to figure. Boston's bullpen continues to struggle with the 7.72 ERA in their last 7 games while allowing 8 home runs and 30 1/3 innings pitched. Keep that in mind. John Means, who was their best pitcher last year for Baltimore, this year off to a rough start, 0-3 in his team starts, Ron, with a 10.56 ERA, and he's only averaging 2.6 innings pitched per start. So it's going to be – we're going to have to get some innings out of John Means if Baltimore has a chance to win this game.
Yeah, I think I'm going to look at the total here. I'm seeing when Boston's on the road against the division foe, they allow 6.1 run against, and Baltimore at home versus division opponents allow 5.9 runs against.
Ron, another tickler. Home plate umpire.
Uh-oh.
Nick Lentz. Since 2018, home teams are 44-25.
44-25 for the home teams. Yeah, good value on Baltimore. Fair market value on that price, but
then we can kill that buzz by saying the Boston's 15-4 at Camden Yards since 2008.
Yeah, well, that's when they had Mookie Betts in there.
Yeah, exactly. Whole different team. Yep.
Yeah, Chicago White Sox taking on the Chicago Cubs now. The Battle of Chicago, and looking at this line here, minus 108 price on the White Sox. I'm just going to confirm that. Yep, that's what I got here. And over-under at 9.5 at Wrigley, so the wind must be blowing out today at Wrigley. You got Dallas Keuchel going up against John Lester. I'm interested to see what
Did you check that total again, Ron? I got 8.5.
Okay, right here. I'm going to see. Dallas, Chicago. I got 9.5 here with SBR.
Okay, well, then it must have went up. Okay, that's fine.
Must have went up. Let me check the wind here at Wrigley right now. The wind is 6 miles per hour right to left.
Which is nothing.
That's nothing really.
Yeah. I mean, a great left-handed pitching matchup, I should say, between Keuchel and Lester. And something's got to give here, Ron, because the Cubs are 5-1 against left-handed starters this year. The White Sox are 6-0 versus left-handed starters. And then we have boy, things go off at the wrong time.
We got dogs, we got phones.
And then we have, now that I got my train of thought back.
Yeah.
And we also have the White Sox, who aren't very good at home, although they're better lately.
Okay.
They're 8-3 on the road this year.
8-3 on the road, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, and so this so far
Between the dogs and the phones, it's throwing us off today.
Must be a Friday.
I always make a habit of turning the phone off. I must have forgot today. The Cincinnati game rattled me.
Yeah, we're allowed a senior moment, Ross.
Anyway.
Mulligan. Normally, when the total's 9.5 for Chicago on the road this year, they're 5-0 straight up. So something about that perception versus reality we always talk about.
Yeah.
Perception is they tend to do well, but you know what? Chicago's. I'm going to place them in that category of flying under the radar, where like I bump out Baltimore and Detroit and put in Chicago right now.
Yeah,
because they're a team that people they're not being talked about much as a team, but look at their strength.
The White Sox you're referring to?
Yeah, the White Sox.
Yeah, they were my sleeper at the beginning of the year.
That's right.
Yeah, Cincinnati too. Not to bring up a bad subject.
And Dallas Keuchel, pretty solid pitcher here today. So you're getting
former Cy Young winner, Ron.
Yeah, so you're getting good value on both these teams. Yeah. But I'm probably going to take a look at the White Sox here. Hey, 5 straight wins, and my rule of thumb with the win streaks, right?
Yeah, and you know what, Ron? We say the bullpens. Keep an eye on the bullpens. The White Sox bullpen, last 7 games, a 2.62 ERA and a 1.00 WHIP with a quality starter. And Cubs bullpen has been better of late, but their overall numbers aren't nearly as good. So that could be a factor as well when you handicap this game.
Yeah, no, I'd be interested to see if Chicago White Sox bullpen is in the top 10.
Yeah.
Of the league.
Pretty close. If they're not, they're pretty close, Ron.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm going to research today. Now that it's got my attention, because of Cincinnati, I got to start looking at these things more. Minnesota taking on Kansas City. The Twins, big win yesterday, 7-1 against Milwaukee, -138 price. Jose Barrios pitched a pretty good game for the Twins yesterday. And, Brandon Woodruff also had a good game. It was 1-0, I think, in the 5th inning.
Yeah.
So both starters gave their teams a shot, but then again, the bullpen for Milwaukee just collapsed. Jake Odorizzi starting today against Danny Duffy, and Kansas City 7 straight unders for the Royals, 9-15 on the year. Kogo's at 75%, and coming off a 5-0 loss in their last game to the Reds, and they're playing on 1 day's rest. So you got a rested team that played going up against a team that took a red eye last night to get to Kansas City, but it shouldn't affect them today.
Well, that's a good point, though. I mean, you know what shocked me, Ron? I'm looking at this series, these two teams being in the same division, playing so frequently over the years. Since 2018, the Royals are 14-8 at home against Minnesota, which really shocked me. And that includes a 3-0 sweep earlier this season in Kansas City. So, it's not as easy as it looks. And be careful. I mean, again, we're talking about top 10 bullpens and handicapping bullpens. This is a Minnesota bullpen that, for lack of a better phrase, is night and day, home and away. Their ERA at home as a bullpen is somewhere in the ones, like 1.2 something. Excellent ERA. But on the road, the Twins, in 11 games, their bullpen on the road has really not been up to snuff. 5.86 ERA. Just a note there.
Okay. Now that you mentioned that, I triggered my matrix on the website, and I'm looking at Kansas City's last 15 games as a home or away underdog. Last 15, 4-11 to the under. So,
wow.
Yeah, that's pretty. Keep forgetting I got all these tools here at ATS Stats. Hey, that's why I got a big toolbox here at ATS Stats, Ross, so I can just go in there and grab the latest tools when.
And again, not to be a buzzkill, but Minnesota 12-3 under at home, but on the road 7-4 over. So
yeah, and cool. You know what? Here, let me just take a look at real quickly at Minnesota to see what. So in the total's 9 for Minnesota, the last 7 games. Here's a lot of average: 5-2 to the over. 9-1 to the over as a roll favorite when the total's 9. So, sorry, 9-1 straight up. Sorry, 6-3-1 to the over. So you're right. Bit of a yin and yang theory here. And you know what? More in-depth look will be needed to handicap this game. Cincinnati taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. From a team point of view yesterday, you're down 4-2 in the ninth, and you come back and you win that game 5-4. It can't help but maybe that's
motivate you, right?
Oh God, as a team, you just it's hard to follow up that game, but you're right back at it today against Cincinnati. You're sending Anthony DeScalafani for the Reds up against Dakota Hudson for St. Louis. And looking at the chance of winning, 42% for St. Louis, 44% for the Reds. Now looking at the numbers here, 7-7 for St. Louis, 10-12 for the Reds. Kogo, 141%. We had our listed price at 152 on Cincinnati, so they're taking a bit of a haircut there at 138. So you're getting value on Cincinnati. And how are they going to bounce back after a blown? That was his first blown save this year, I think.
Yeah, and Iglesias. I mean, the Cincinnati bullpen, as we alluded to, terrible, but not their closer. Yeah, you want to check that line again, Ron? I think I had Cincinnati minus 110. Anyway, DeScalafani, 2 road starts this year, 11 innings pitched, and no earned runs on the road this year. As a matter of fact, 4 starts this year for DeScalafani, and 3 of those outings he did not allow an earned run. And, 4 starts versus St. Louis since last year. This is the Red starter. 22 innings pitched, three earned runs. So he's really pitched well against the Cardinals of late. And, again, you got to factor in the bullpen performance. The Reds' bullpen, very shaky. St. Louis's bullpen hasn't been great as well. 5.93 ERA over the last 7 games. And Cincinnati this year, Ron, 0-6 this year following a loss by 2 runs or less.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm seeing 110 all over the place.
Yeah.
So they must have changed and there's an update yet. It's going to be an interesting matchup here today to see how Cincinnati – but, hey, what can you say? It's going to be a good matchup, but the thing that, gets my attention here is the Reds are favorite here. At minus one.
Again, for the second straight day, it's it's a little bit, eye-opening when you see that. Yeah,
Houston taking on the San Diego Padres. Now here's 2 hot teams going to clash here tonight at Petco Park. You got it's a 9-10 start, first pitch. San Diego minus 113 price, over under at 8.5. ATS forecast, computer pick, gonna lean with the Astros, 4.34, 1.84. Lance McCullers Jr. up against Garrett Richards for San Diego. Padres, 4 straight wins, 4 overs. Houston, 8 straight wins, 10-8 win yesterday in Colorado. Last 2 games have gone over the total. 31% chance of going over the total here, Ross. 20% chance of winning for Houston, 22 for the Padres. Flip a quarter on this one.
Yeah, 2 shaky bullpens. Keep that in mind, folks. And 2 teams with a lot of power, 1 through 9 throughout the lineup. So might want to take a look at the over in this contest.
Yeah, and looking at the total here for Padres, when Garrett Richards goes for the Padres, 2-4 to the under, but 3-2 to the over for McCullers when he starts for the Astros. Texas Rangers coming off a 8-7 loss last night to the Padres. Good game, seesaw battle. It could have went either way. The starting pitchers gave their teams a good chance here. This game here was a lot like the game we talked about earlier. Milwaukee was 1-0 in the 5th inning. Don't you just love those 1-0 games? You feel really good in the 5th and 6th, and then the bullpen comes in.
The bullpens implode.
It's or like a bullpen. Frank Tank just crashing your party.
It's ironic because Milwaukee's bullpen had been pitching so well all year. So. Yeah.
Looking at the line on this game, just going to double check here with SBR. We have them at 121. The over/under at 8.5. ATS forecast, computer pick. Going to lean with the Rangers here, 4.3 to 3.93. The over/under at 8.26. 69% chance of winning today for Seattle, who are sending Nick Margevicius to the mound against Colby Allard. And looking at the records for Seattle, 8-19 on the year, 10-14 for Texas. Looking at the starting pitcher for Texas, Allard, 2-1 for the Rangers the last 3 starts, where Margevicius still 0-2, looking for that first win for
Yeah,
Seattle.
the bullpen has really let that kid down in his 2 starts this year. But this is a game I'm just gonna have to take a further look at. Off the top of my head, that's a tough call.
Yeah, Texas 3-8 on the road this year, 8-3 to the over. Where Seattle 4-8 at home, 4-8 to the under. So a bit of conflicting numbers there.
Yep.
Just looking at some of the numbers here. Texas
Seattle's
on the road.
bullpen's not very good. Texas bullpen not very good. So.
Yeah, maybe the over is something you want to look at here. But yeah, nothing really standing out. Colorado taking on the LA Dodgers. Now Colorado coming off a tough loss to Houston yesterday, 10-8. Now you got the Dodgers winning 6-1. Going up in class against an opponent that has an above 500 record, 13-12. A Bulls team against a B Bears type team. So I forget. I like to see who LA played prior to Colorado. To Seattle. See if they got. I'll take a look at that in a second. I just want to see if they're coming off 2 weak sister type teams and then facing a team over 500.
Yeah.
Just a bit of competition, right?
Yeah.
Looking at Colorado, loser of 4 straight, and the Dodgers sending Walker Buehler's day off up against John Gray today. And the forecast leaning with the Dodgers 6.32, 4.13, over under 10.45. You know what? This one here, I don't know how you go against the Dodgers.
Yeah, Colorado's 13-12, but they lost 9 of their last 11. Like I touched upon on a couple occasions, they weren't as good as the record, and they're starting to come back to the pack, and they're going to be hard pressed to even be in the playoff hunt in the last 20 games or so of the season. The Dodgers with Buehler on the mound, big starting pitching advantage. Colorado's bullpen very good on the road. Night and day on the road compared to at home, which is usually the case, but not as much disparity as we're seeing this year. I think I mentioned that on yesterday's show. John Gray, not off to a good start this season, was one of their better pitchers last year. I don't know how you take Colorado in this situation. They're ice cold against a Dodgers team that seems to be clicking on all cylinders right now, Ron.
Yeah, and the under for Colorado on the road this year, 8-2 to the under.
Yeah.
And when they're a road underdog, not a bad record. 6-3, runs for, average is 4, and only giving up 1.89 runs against as a road underdog. So, man, that's pretty. That's solid numbers if you're thinking of the total. Kogo's at 55, so almost fair market value. But yeah, I'm going to take a look into the under in this game. Angels taking on the Oakland Athletics. You got Andrew Heaney going here up against Mike Fiers of the Oakland Athletics. Now, Oakland, 5-1 win yesterday against Arizona. Now, looking at the LA Angels, still struggling, right?
Yeah.
8-18 on the year, coming off a 10-5 loss. You had the over in that game as your free play yesterday, Ross. 85% chance of winning for LA, 32 for Oakland. I don't see why Oakland just keeps rolling along here.
Yeah, this is a perfect example of what Ron talked about at the beginning of the show. Teams right now playing in this COVID-19 era, are they interested or not? The Angels not only are underachieving, Ron, they just don't look interested other than Mike Trout, They just don't. Their pitching has been terrible, both their starting rotation and their bullpen. And this is a far superior Oakland team in this matchup, but you could get some value here. Wait, can you check that line again on the Angels? Is that right? Minus 121?
I'm seeing 114, 115, 121 at bet.
To me, I know Fiers has really struggled this year, but Oakland's bullpen is very good, especially at home. That's a nice value right now as I look at it.
Yeah, there's something doesn't pass my smell test here, right?
Yeah, no doubt, Ron. If it looks too good to be true in sports betting, it usually is.
Yeah. No, but how does I when you said that, I said, okay, maybe the starting pitchers, but 1-4 in the last 4 against a 4-1 for Oakland. Yeah, this doesn't. And I had minus 187 as a line for Oakland according to my number, but I had 121. Right on the button. I don't know why. Maybe let me see the Angels' record on the road this year. They have a good road record. No, 3-9. So
I
don't know, man.
I haven't looked deep into this, Ron, but I would take a look at how Andrew Heaney has done against Oakland in recent years and how Mike Fiers has done against the Angels in recent years. And plus the fact, like I said, Fiers has got off to a terrible start to the season. He's winning, but not because of his pitching. It's because he's getting a lot of run support. So I'd have to look further into that, but it's certainly, yeah, you're right. It does not pass the smell test.
No, absolutely not. Especially on a 3-game loser streak.
Yeah.
Arizona taking on San Francisco. D-backs, 5-1 loss yesterday, cooling down a bit after that hot start, winning, 5-6 games in a row.
Yeah.
And now the 113 price here against San Fran. Now I'm gonna have to double check every price. It's got me. It's got my attention now. And looking at the over/under 9.5 forecast, gonna lean with Arizona here. 4.91, 3.55. The over/under set at 8.46. Looking at today's starter, Robbie Ray. Sounds like Sugar Ray there. Robbie Ray.
Yeah, right. The tough guy from the Sabres is pitching tonight.
Up against Logan Webb here for San Fran. And both teams got identical records for their teams when they start in the last 5, 3-2. The only difference is 2-3 to the under for Ray and 3-2 to the over for Webb. Now San Fran on a 3-game win streak where the D-backs are on a 2-game losing streak. Last 2 have gone under. Ross, this has a flip a quarter all over it.
Yeah, San Francisco continues to cash the over at home. 9-1-1 over the total, if I'm not mistaken, at home this year. And I believe it's even 9-0 over in their last 9 at home. So something to keep an eye on there because it's not exactly a premium pitching matchup. Robbie Ray, you never know what you're going to get from him, Ron. We were talking about Kyle Gibson yesterday. Same thing. You know, they can look so good at times, and then they look horrible the next time. There's no in between with Robbie Ray. He's either real good or real bad.
Well, what I'm looking at here is last 3 starts. What's really saving him is the Angels' bats. 10.33 run support, but he's given up 6.3. You know,
yeah,
so
exactly. There you go.
Yeah, good point. 3-game win streak. Again, we have the Arizona winning here. This might come down to the bullpen, and like you're saying, like a lot of overs in San Fran. You're getting value with the D-backs at -113. If they can get to 120, they'll fit. Or actually, it's 106 your line, right, for the 20, the short favorites, 106 to 150.
106 to 150. That's correct.
So they fit in that criteria maybe of.
But keep in mind again, the 106 to 150s went 2-6 yesterday.
Yep.
So going along to following your line of thinking, because they've been cashing in at such a high rate this year, this might be a point where it starts turning a bit, Ron. And you brought it up yesterday too. You said. I'm going to keep an eye on the underdogs. And, the underdogs did good yesterday in the lower end of the bracket, but where the favorites really padded the record yesterday, Ron, was the chalks, the big chalks, 151 or more,
Well, the bookmakers are looking at the lines. They're starting to adjust, right? Like you're starting to see a lot, like on those favorite teams, those A-type teams. Now you're starting to see -300, 275.
What they're saying, okay, you want to keep playing favorites, you're going to have to beat me 3 out of every 4 if you're taking those to make money.
All right, Ross, we're going to go right into we're going to open up the club here at the 80% Club. I got a few stats here. I'm going to go with a couple of totals here. For the Colorado Rockies, the over is 12-1 for Colorado when they're a 200 to 220 road underdog the last 7 years. So that's 92.31%. And the Tampa Bay Rays facing the Toronto Blue Jays today, Ross, the under is 1-11 to the under for the Rays when they're a 120 to 140 home favorite versus a division foe the last 3 years. So that's the thing here, 120 to 140. You know what? 2 totals here from the 80% Club. And let me see if I got any more that I want to bring up. It's all Dodgers. When I see the Dodgers and Yankees here, I just want to pass them.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So that's the 2 I'm going to share here today, Ross.
Well, the Yankees, the Yankees aren't playing this weekend, Ron. The Mets had 2 positive tests yesterday, so I believe that series has been canceled. I'm not sure. I know it's canceled today. Let's put it that way.
I just don't feel good giving -220 to 240 favorites on the Dodgers.
I've seen too many of that. I mean, we were talking off air about how the handicapping industry right now, a lot of guys are starting to catch on. YouTube is the way to go. And I've happened to glance at a couple of them, and I'm seeing too many handicappers giving out minus 200 or greater. When you see that, folks, you don't need them for that. So, and again, I'm not picking on anybody, but it shows me how professional one is if they're giving out or lack of profession when they're giving out favorites of that size. Ron, just a quick note on the Baltimore game in Boston. Baltimore right now has lost 5 straight games, right? Home teams that have lost 5 or more in a row in the month of August have gone 42-21 since 2016. And those 63 home teams had an average money line of plus 130.1. So not only are they winning at a high rate, they're giving you an excellent rate of return. And it's not like they're playing a world beater, because the Red Sox, yes, they've won 2 in a row. Yes, they've dominated at Camden Yards over the last few years, but that seems like a prime spot. The only thing is you're asking a bad team to do good things for you, but there's 2 bad teams here. So
yeah, exactly. No, I think Baltimore is a really good shot here. And Boston, they're the type of team where the way they're performing now, you want to look at them more when they're at home, right? There's one of those situations. Again, Ross, before we go, if people are interested in their selections, where could they find you?
Okay, let me just review. I went 0-3 yesterday, which I own up, just like Ron does. When I have a bad day, I tell you. When I have a good day, I have no problem telling you. So since July 29th now, I've gone 41-23. That's 64%, despite that 0-3 yesterday. 64% over the last 64 paid selections. Not bad, folks. So if you want to jump aboard, that's rbwins.com or atsstats.com. You can get my daily packages or weekly, monthly, or annual subscriptions. And folks, I haven't had back-to-back losing days, by the way, since July 28th. And when I'm coming off a losing day, the last 6 times I'm coming off a losing day, I've made a profit 6 times in a row. So again, that analogy to me and Ron were talking about earlier in the show, you got to leave a bad day behind and don't turn it into 2 losing days because your emotion gets wrapped up. You wake up with a new frame of mind, right, Ron? And you attack the monkey.
Yeah, I'm gonna start calling you Triple B there. Bounce back, Benjamin.
I should say attack the birds and dogs at your house.
Yeah, it's feeding time here at the Raymond Zoo. Yeah, but again, folks, right now, if you go to atsstats.com, we're running a special promotion where you put in promo code NFL 2020. You'll get 25% off all membership plans. That's include the Rain Report, the premium picks, anything that you see on the sign-up page. Put in promotion code NFL 2020, and Ross, NFL's 3 weeks away. What a great way to start getting ready by doing your prep work, getting into the Rain Report, getting into the database, getting to know the Rain Report system, also getting our selections. And, man, NFL is going to be – I can't wait to start doing NFL shows. Not that I don't like baseball, but, NFL is where we hang our hat, right?
You know what, Ron? We're 2 weeks away from talking about the NFL on this show. I mean, where we're actually the week before kind of thing, where we're looking at all the lines. Yeah, there's NFL lines out right now. They have been out for, 6 months now, Ron? Yeah. But they become a little more pertinent the week of the game.
Oh, absolutely. So there we have it. That's the Rain Report with Ross Benjamin for Friday, August 21st. Ross, have yourself a great weekend, buddy.
You too,
As always,
man.
Thanks, my man. As always, shop for value, play those percentages. We'll see you back shortly with another Rain Report.